Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unfiltered Truth. My name is Phil Robinson III. I am your host. And this morning is just a little kickback here. Few things that have been on my mind, few recent events that have happened in Raider Nation. But before we get into that, gotta start off with the morning shout outs. Rich was good. Good morning. Buddha, Raider for life. What's happening? Yo. It's not the Phils. It's just me. Sorry to disappoint you. It's just little old me, your boy Robinson. Raider for life. What's up? East Coast time. Yes, sir. Egalitarian was good. Youngstown in the house. What he do? Oh, Dennis. I don't think I've seen you before, but hello, Dennis. If it's your first time, please like and subscribe. Any other first timers, welcome to the channel. Sit down, take a look. Said around here, I'm fair. We don't do bias. Said you don't hear something I like, give it a chance, because I'm only telling you the truth. Al was good. How do I feel about the diverse coaching staff? I'm ecstatic. Honestly, I love to see all of the things that they've done to improve this football team, all of the coaching hires, all of the front office hires. We've looked for some stability. We've looked for a lot of things, and we are starting to see them all come together, and it's truly a beautiful thing. And that's not even a plug. Sal was popping. Victor, you know you're going to get it. You know you're going to get it. Hanging with Mr. Cooper. What's good? What's good? Said, all right. Got through the morning shout outs to all my folks so far. So we are now officially in week 2 of the off season. Week 3 of our off season, but really week number 1 of no football. Week number 1. You've gone 8 days now without hearing a whistle, seeing a flag, cheering for a touchdown. A lot of you degenerates haven't put money on anything in a while, at least not a football game. I'm sure you found other things to gamble on. And a lot of us have had to return to our families. Said, I know since I've last watched football, Sundays are a hard day for me. Saturdays are a hard day for me. It's been a lot of running around, a lot of daddy taxi action. I'm over here. I find myself at night thinking about trying to watch tape, but realize there's no game to game plan for. No tape to watch and analyze that I want of new football. I watched all the college highlight games. This whole shift from college to the pros is one that is really going to need some overhauling. The agents and the players were at odds with the league about the bubble situation. That got resolved. The league decided to waive the bubble so that they could have the athletes be there at the combine and do more than just get medicals. A lot of people will say that pro days are bigger than the combine. And I think that pro days, that I could see how you could make that statement, but in terms of evaluation, it's easier for a player to perform when they're comfortable. And if I'm getting ready to invest millions of dollars into a player, I don't care about what he does when he's comfortable. We all know that to get to the level of pros, if In a perfect scenario, you can shred. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got to this point to begin with. I want to see how guys do when they don't know the guy they're playing with, when they're not used to seeing that guy, when they're not sleeping in their own beds, when they're in effect on a road game. That's pretty much what the combine is for everybody who isn't in Indianapolis or the surrounding area. It's a road game. It's an unknown arena, an unknown set of circumstances, and a chance to show how you respond with adversity there. And it's not like it's a huge amount of adversity. Everybody out there is coaching them up. They're being friendly. Nobody's trying to game plan against them, which makes it even better because then you get to see rawness. And rawness is essentially what you have to work with when you hit the football field. So yes, you can have all the skills in the world, but moving into the pros from the college, you're raw. You don't know what you're doing. You're not used to the speed of the game. You're not used to the strength of the guys. For some guys, it's easier. For some guys, it's not. And I just like to see what they do when they're on the road versus what they do at home. That's a comparison that absolutely is crucial to make. And that's what bothers me about a lot of the quarterbacks. Now, all of the quarterbacks that we've seen thus far, there's not a single quarterback that's coming out into the draft this year that is good enough to skip the combine. I'm just telling you right now, not one of them. They all need to throw. They all need to take snaps. They all need to show what they can do, what they'll be asked to do in an NFL offense. I have my guys. I have guys that I think will be better than others, but I also know that there are guys that I just flat out want to see how they perform, because some of your guys who are less heralded, a lot less heralded, end up being your stars. Very rarely do you see first and second rounders be the guys that are always doing it. Not very rarely, because they're superstars, but there's more rounds than the first two, so it's more opportunity for later rounds to get it in, get good, get ready, and do all the other things. I mean, the greatest quarterback in the history of all time is a sixth rounder. The worst quarterback of all time was the number one overall draft pick, has been quite a few times. That's right. I want to know how quickly they adapt to the unknown. You can't get that at home. You can't get that thrown to your wide receivers. You can't get that running the script that you've run on Pro Day. Because make no mistake, when you go to Pro Day, those dudes have run all those drills, done all of that on rinse, wash, repeat so many times that they can breathe, that they're breezing through that pretty much off muscle memory. So to me, the Pro Day doesn't show you half as much as the combine could. And what I like I said earlier, what I use the Pro Day for is to check against the numbers at the combine. And so that gives me an idea of where exactly they really are. And they do more, and they do everything at the Pro Day. They go through the full gambit. So that's the other reason why you have to watch it now instead of the combine, because agents are telling their clients not to perform at the combine. Need to find our next Willie Brown undrafted gem. I prefer we drafted him. At this point, I'd like to see nothing but hits from draft picks. It's been such a long time since we've seen hits in the draft, at the top of the draft, that more than anything is what I want to see most. There's going to be a few. I'll touch on one in a little bit. But this is a front office that thinks that they can get better, that they can move on from some of the guys that they have and upgrade those positions for cheaper. Mayock wrote a lot of bad contracts. that whoever was in charge of the cap and the contracts for this team that was rightfully fired. There's at least 4 or 5 guys who are going to be getting paid 2 years after they're no longer on the team. And that's on top of the, what is it, almost $45 million between Farrell, Nassib, and Littleton that's on the books this year. Now, Farrell, in his case, he was drafted high, and so it's the rookie deal. So I mean, they expected him to be something that he wasn't. Again, it's on Mayock. And I was talking to Phil Jones, and we were looking. I know I'd read somewhere that they were going to be able to petition to get Ruggs and Arnett's salary off the books, but I don't believe that they are going to be able to do that because they voluntarily terminated his contract. Because he brought up the fact, remember that Aaron Hernandez's family was still getting his money, even though he was in jail. Way too early. We got to get to the combine first, bro. Can't tell you who the combine. I can't tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl next year without seeing what the teams look like. Do I think Dave will go all out to make as much cap room and go heavy on signing players in this free agency? That's two separate questions. First one, when you say all out, we have to consider what you mean. All out means he'll cut any and everybody who has no dead money against the cap and re-signing the whole thing. They believe, and they sold Davis on the fact that they can win and build a winner without having to lose because the Raiders just made the playoffs. There's no reason to tear that down. You have a playoff team. You just need to rebuild it, retool it, and get guys who are not underperforming, which is what they're attempting to do. So I believe that he will go out and he will make as much cap room as is feasible for the team with guys that they feel they can afford to let go, get rid of, and replace. And do I see him go heavy on signing players in this free agency? I think that they will find a way to get impact guys at spots that they feel they need impact in. They're going to, but based off of the needs that they have, they're going to have to hit the draft. They can't pay everybody. Some of the positions that they need are premium positions, and you can't pay top guys at every premium position. There's just not enough salary cap for it. They're going to need to draft a corner. They're going to need to draft a couple defensive tackles. It would just absolutely warm my soul if they drafted a linebacker, a dominant linebacker, premium linebacker, anywhere from the first to third round, so that they could lock that up. I've heard that with the linebacking core is going to get an overhaul, and believe it or not, so you asked for a shocking move. Here, I got one for you. There's question on whether or not Denzel Perriman will be back. Yes, he made the Pro Bowl. Yes, they only have to pay him $3 million next year. But in the Patriots organization, linebackers cover. And linebackers cover well. Not only do linebackers cover well, they make plays on the football, get interceptions, and take them back to the house. I mean, let's look at it. You had Junior. You could go back in the day. Junior Seau, Mike Vrabel, Teddy Bruschi. Then you look recently, you got Hightower, Collins, and more. They have guys who make plays on the football, and that's what the Raiders need. And while we love Denzel Perriman, I love his energy, everything about dude. I mean, he'll be the first to tell you he got some issues with coverage. In the AFC West, they got to fix that. That's one of their key that's one of their key issues. If they want to get better at defense, and with the players that they have to face, they're going to need man cover corners. They're going to need guys who can stick on those guys. They're going to need guys with speed. And then but when you have man cover corners on the outside, you need a linebacker who's capable of covering the tight end. I think that they have that with Divine Diablo, which is predominantly why they drafted him there, so that they can use the other safeties for wide receivers and over-the-top zones, and they can just man him up on the tight end at the line of scrimmage, as would be his usual man-to-man responsibility at the end of the line. I like the size that he brings, and he brings more physicality than Littleton does. However, I see, and he's a good blitzer when he's sent, but I feel like Littleton is a better blitzer, and they should do a lot more blitzing in, well, not a lot more. They'll do a lot more. If it was Graham by himself, I would say they would not do a lot more. They'll do more, but with Rob Ryan in the fold, overlooking this whole thing, this defense is going to get a lot more aggressive. The Ryans believe in blitzing the quarterback and heating up the quarterback and putting pressure on the offense, and so do I. Greg Olsen got hired by the Rams. Hey, when you lose everybody on offense but the coach, so you got to feel that. And when you're the Super Bowl winner, unfortunately, you're the last to address your issues and the last to know when your guys are leaving. And then you end up in situations like this. But it is another one of those fantastic opportunities to see what was the problem. So we've gotten rid of Gruden. We've gotten rid of Olsen. You've got a top flight coach. You definitely got a top flight coaching staff. You got a top flight front office, and I expect to see step one of a mini massive overhaul in offensive weaponry this season, and you'll see step two probably in the cut. You'll see the indications of step two next year. But Olsen is going to a stacked roster, and his quarterback will be coming off of the Super Bowl, off a Super Bowl win. And so we'll get a chance to see, was it Derek? Was it Olsen? Was it Gruden? We're all going to see that. Yes. 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 Big Cade! They have no defensive tackles. They need some help. They got Carmen Brasillo's got a job ahead of him. He's got to somehow salvage Alex Leatherwood and either figure out if they can get something for him or how they get rid of him. And then you have the left guard situation. John Simpson, bless his heart, great, good run blocker, terrible in pass protection. That's got to change. And oddly enough, when you look at this contract that Andre James got, we were all bitching and moaning about him getting paid. This year is the last year on his deal of guaranteed money. Next year is a team option, and they will easily be able to move on from him if they feel that he can't play. He made drastic strides at the end of last year from where he started the season, and I'd like to see him get an opportunity to continue to build on what he played. But like I said, the one thing that you can count on the Patriots to do is get solid in the offensive line and the defensive line up front. And the Raiders have a history, at least on offense, of being one of those more solid run blocking offensive lines throughout history. And when they're good, they have a dominant defensive line. This Raiders team, we had reservations on output. They were nearly leading the league in pressures. Now, pressures isn't quite getting it done and finishing the job, but given where they started the season, or where they started from last year to where they ended up this year, it was like night and day. Said Max is really ascended. PFF had him ranked as the second rated edge player in the league. And he was the face of the Pro Bowl in Vegas. Said Max, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Max and Hunter are about to get a straight WWF style push and they are about to become household names. Watch. And remember, I said it first. This coaching staff feels like people who will be detailed and strategic with each week's game plan, which can be adjusted quarter to quarter if needed. I take it to play by play. I take it to drive by drive. I take it to basically they strive, I believe, Ziegler's exact words where we strive to evolve in everything that we do. And everything that they do and continue to look for ways to be better. That's no complacency. And a lot of the issues that you see plaguing Raider Nation start with the fact that you're always looking in the rearview mirror and never out the windshield. As long as all of our success is measured against the past, you can never look towards the future because everything is always in the past. Mark, in 2021, finally looked towards the future in terms of on the field product. Off the field, they've been building towards the future for a while now. They've got the stadium, they've got the market, they've got the backing of the league. They made money last year. It's time for them to address the issues on the field and get this thing over the hump, which is what they made their strides to do. You could do that. You definitely could do that. You could move Colton to right tackle and try Leatherwood at left and see if you can get anything for that. I personally would prefer to leave Colton Miller where he is. PFF had him graded as the 5th ranked tackle in the league. If the guy is the 5th ranked tackle in the league at that position, you leave him there. Find somebody else to play right tackle. You want to talk about clearing space for free agents? There's a couple out there that you can get. My eyes particularly been on Morgan Moses. I've heard, and I'm not a fan of this, but it could make sense to bring back Trent. I'm not a fan of this, but I've heard, and it is a move that makes sense. Cornerback. You only have Mullen. You're talking about trying to overpay Hayward to keep him instead of letting him go to Indianapolis. I think I'd have to go back and look to see if Robertson is still on any type of deal. And that's your corner depth chart. And then, you have Nate Hobbs. You could, if push came to shove, what you could do, especially since Hobbs played outside at Illinois, is you could move Hobbs outside and bring Keyshawn Nixon into the slot. Keyshawn Nixon had a great year in the slot last year with Bradley's defense. Surprisingly, because I thought I was not a huge fan of where he was with Paul Gunther. And the only reason that Keyshawn Nixon wasn't one of the better slot corners in the league was because he was behind Nate Hobbs, who was playing at an incredibly high level. So you could kick him out. You could go with Mullen, Hobbs, and Nixon if you re-sign Nixon. And you should be able to get him for a pretty decent price. But if somebody wants to overpay him, he gone. You got to let that man walk and live. And then draft behind that, maybe look to see if you can get another veteran. But they made that secondary work with practice squad players and cast-offs and grandpas. And I love Casey Hayward, but a man is going to be 34 this season. And I'm not in the business of overpaying 34-year-old corners. You just won't catch me doing that. Let's see. Leave Colton where he's at. 5th Flame OT. Bruh, you ain't lied about that. I believe that the new organization will take a look at that as well. I thought we had changed the team doctor. Honestly, that is something that just really fucking boggles my mind, to be honest with you. Let me just speak on that real quick. I have watched this team misdiagnose injuries and tell us and try to be smooth and clever about lying about injuries, and guys having a banged up a hangnail on their pinky toe are suddenly end up out for the year with need for surgery that should have been addressed from the offset. Um, Guys, they have a injury problem or stability where guys just continue to get injured at a high level, and injuries happen everywhere. Said, but the Raiders, about halfway through the season, it looks like everybody on the Raiders team is hurt in some capacity, leaking oil and playing subpar less than their full capabilities. For the first time this season just passed, we watched Josh Jacobs finish the season strong. It had been almost 2 years since we saw him break the 100-yard mark. And then he turned around and nearly broke it, 3 times in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Was averaging 6.5 yards a carry against the Bengals defense and somehow didn't see major carries past halftime. That was mind-boggling to me, to be honest with you. It was like when they cut it down to about 7 or 3 and 7, I was like, feed Jacobs, feed him. That's all you got. Keep feeding him. But they didn't, and eventually they lost. Feeding Jacobs and playing defense was what got him to the playoffs. Said it sure wasn't throwing the rock. Press man and slot, but rookie receivers don't pick up Josh's scheme unless he is very smart. Have you seen rookie receivers play with Brady? So I started this particular podcast with a list of items to talk about, to which I've gotten to none of them. So now that we've established that, let's dive in. Hire number 1 was Sean Herrick. And Sean used to work for the Raiders. Back in the day, actually used to work for the Packers as well. Started out as an intern in the scouting department for the Atlanta Falcons. And in 1994, he was hired by the Packers after having served for them as well, and ascended to the assistant director spot in 2001. During the course of his stay there, they won the Super Bowl twice, and he linked up with Reggie McKenzie. And so he became a Raider, colleague of Reggie McKenzie's when he came over to the Raiders and was there as a personnel guy until Mike Mayock got rid of him. And he brought in Jim Abrams to be the director of college scouting. Then he went to Cleveland, where he got promoted to national scout. And he's back here now working with Dave Ziegler as a personal advisor on college pro and college scouting. Pretty nifty there. Gotta love it. And then brings us to Kennedy Polamalu. Kennedy Polamalu is the running backs coach for the Vikings. And what do we know about Kennedy? He used to coach at USC. He used to coach Mater Dei. And running backs is what he seems to work with the most. He coached Justin Fargas back at USC. And so let me give you a brief rundown of where his rankings for the run game were for Vikings. In 2017, they had 500 run attempts, 1,957 yards, 15 touchdowns for an average of 3.9 yards per carry. They ranked second in attempts, seventh in yards, 23rd in seventh in touchdowns, and 23rd in the average. In 2018, it was bad, real bad. 2019, they ran 476 attempts, 2,133 yards, 19 touchdowns for a 4.5 yard per carry average, which was 4th, 6th, and 12th in the league. In 2020, they had 468 attempts, 2,283 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 4.9 yards on the ground, which was 8th, 5th, 6th, and 4th. So, and then in 2021, it was 449 attempts, 1,930 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 4.3 yards per carry, which was 16th, 17th, 28th, and 19th. So he was coaching the running backs from Minnesota for 5 years, and only had 2 years where his rushing attack was out of the top 10 in nearly every major category. So he can coach running backs very well. He had a lot of talent to work with. He had Latavius Murray, Dalvin Cook, and others, but he definitely got the most out of it and got him looking like $1 million. That part is key because of what comes next. Kenyon Drake may be a cap casualty. They owe Kenyon Drake a lot of money. They got to pay Josh Jacobs a hefty amount, $3+ million this year. I think it should be up to $4+ as well. And the Patriots don't pay any running backs that much because they don't have to. They run low cost guys into the ground and then get new ones. That's just how they operate. That's really how most of the league is operating in a 2-3 back committee system. Everybody's cheap and move on to the next one. That's how you keep in fresh legs and guys who fit niches and can match up. That's pretty much how it goes in this league. But Kenyon Drake could be an injury settlement. He could be and that would pretty much be the way that you let him go in a different direction, because he's not with the guy that brought him in. He's coming off an injury. They want to save some money and move in a different direction. That's pretty much how it's going to go. He wrote an article saying that Clee was in Gruden's doghouse because he wouldn't play through an injury. I'm not gonna say that that's not the case, because it's very easy to get into Gruden's doghouse, especially if you're not showing that toughness that just gets him there. But Farrell has an explosion problem, or a lack of explosion. He just at this level, he's not getting off the line. He's just not. He had in a 3-4, he has the potential to be the defensive end, and be much better at that. That might be the role for him in the pros, more of a Willie McGinnis. Well, he was the outside linebacker, but he's gonna have to slide in, because he's just not fast enough to be on the edge. He sets a good edge, and he's excellent in the run game, which would make him a full complemented defensive end. But there's no bend, there's no explosion, and the strength game can only get you so far when you're as a pass rusher, when you can't get across the line of scrimmage. Do we see a revived Clee? Possible. It is. You never know. But with that about Kenyon Drake's being out, and I'd seen Brandon Cooks, and I've seen people ask about wide receivers. Everybody's been talking about Devontae Adams. Oh, we got to get Devontae Adams. Carr loves him. He loves Carr. He's the best receiver. Aaron Rodgers is out. Didn't you see the pictures and the Instagram messages and the whole little creepy woo-wop that he had going on? So where you see him shoulder to shoulder with my brothers, until he's not. Where's he going? Who the hell knows? Is he retiring? Could be. Is he going to Jeopardy? Maybe. Is he going to another team? He could do that too. But trading for Devontae Adams is a terrible idea. At best, they'll franchise tag him, and then maybe they'll only have to give up A first and a third is the going rate for a franchise tag. So they're going to want to get more than that for him. But is he going to play for the franchise tag? He's indicated that he wants to make close to $30 million a year. I would say no, because the franchise tag is still only 18, not even in the 20s. I thought it was higher than that. But with that being said, why would he do that? And why, in God's name, would you pay a 30-year-old wide receiver $30 million? Why? That why? That's dumb. I don't care who it is. That's dumb. $30 million for a wide receiver. You put two guys on him, three guys on him. He don't score. What did you get for 30 million? Yards look good, but no points in the end zone. $30 million horribly spent. What's up, Dirty Low? What are my thoughts on the future role of Regas in the system? He'll get a shot. Well, Jalen Richard is gone. I thought that Jalen Richard would be the type of back they'd keep around, but they can get James White cheaper for what they were paying. The Raiders were paying Jalen Richard. Trey Regas, they like I said, they like good backs with speed, who are hungry, so that they can get them paid as they shove them out the door for the next guy they pull off the practice squad. So if he can ball, he'll get a chance. And that's the beauty about regime changes. There's no bias coming in. Everybody gets a fair shot, and from a different set of eyes, because the regime change has to see what they have. Save 2.75 by cutting or trading Drake. If another team will pick up his salary, you save that off his 5.5 guaranteed. But an injury settlement likely saves. Yeah, it's an injury settlement. Is probably what they'll do. I would love to see it. I believe that McDaniels would get a lot out of Ingold. I loved where Ingold was headed before he got hurt. And I think that he was, even as much as Gruden was trying to incorporate him into the offense, he was still not doing it enough. There were still guys that weren't getting enough touches, enough targets, enough of their numbers called. In the end, it really came down to Renfro and Zay Jones, because it wasn't even really Waller and Jacobs running the football. They got to be able to use more than two or three options, and you can't tell me that it was because guys weren't getting open. I don't buy that. I can go back to the tape and I can show you where that's not the case. But definitely need to get Alec Ingold more, get him re-signed and in this offense. What's good, Seabass? Now, I would trade for Cooks or Landry over Adams and save draft capitals. There's a lot of receivers in this draft that you can get that later rounds, early rounds. But rookies don't do well in this offense. Brandon Cooks, however, is the underrated trade, the real eye opener that Raider Nation never knew they needed. So while I was talking about Devontae Adams and how bad an idea that was, I'll offer the other two that we saw most recently, an article between Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin has finished the season on the IR with a knee injury. Speed and knee injuries, not a good thing. Can he get better? Will he get healthy and be able to come back and run? Probably, but he ain't got Tom Brady throwing him the football. Let's be honest. He's not having Tom Brady throw him the football with the precision, with the ball placement, with the advanced defensive readings and knowledge and how to work the system. And he would be coming here to learn a new system with a new quarterback to gain that familiarity. And we all know that Derek needs at least about 2-3 years of off season and full season with his receivers before he can truly get comfortable with them and truly trust and believe in them to be whatever it is that he needs to trust and believe in, or they don't get the football. The deep guys and the fast guys seem to struggle with the Raiders. And so bringing in somebody new, while Goodwin has worked with Brady, and I believe a lot of the concepts that they worked through in Tampa would apply to Las Vegas and McDaniel's offense. I know that Brandon Cooks was in their offense. Brandon Cooks has had success with McDaniels. Brandon Cooks is looking to leave Houston and is not going to cost you a crap ton of money. Now, over in Houston, Cooks was the only receiver out of Robinson and Goodwin, was the only receiver to play all 16 games. And out of the three of them, he had 134 targets, 90 catches, 1,037 yards, 6 touchdowns, and a 67.2 catch percentage with 5 drops. But the big thing for Cooks was, out of those 1,037 yards, was 680 of them were before he caught the football. So that means they're hitting him deep. His yards after the catch were low because he didn't have far to run. Only 357 yards after the catch. Robinson, on the other hand, played 12 games, had 66 targets, 38 catches, 410 yards, 1 touchdown, 57.6% catch percentage. In his career, he's only had his 8-year career, only 3 years has he gone over 1,000. In 5 years, Cooks has only been under 1,000 twice. He said Robinson only had 101 yards after the catch. 101. That's not many. It's not many at all. Goodwin had 127 targets, 98 catches, 1,103 yards, 5 touchdowns, and had the best catching percentage at 77.2. He also produced the most in yards after the catch and had the highest QB rating at 109.1. So when you look at, Goodwin is going to cost the most amount of money by far. Robinson is probably going to get overpaid based off of his statistics and what you saw coming out of Chicago, and somebody thinking that you needed something other than a rookie quarterback to get him set up. Because in Chicago, Darnell Mooney was the guy that Justin Fields was throwing to. And Cooks put up all those numbers with Davis Webb. Who knew who Davis Webb was before he got to Houston? Now, I did, because he's a Pac-12 guy and played for Stanford, and I knew that he could throw the ball around a little bit. And when I remembered he was on the team, I was curious to see how that would work. And he actually looked out there. He looked pretty legit and decent, like he knew what was going on and could be a competent, capable quarterback. That's something for them to look at moving forward. But out of the three, Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson, and Chris Godwin, hands down the best option would be Cooks. And then you throw in the fact that the Texans are looking to get rid of Laremy Tunsil, Deshaun Watson, and Brandon Cooks, and Nick Caserio, and Dave Ziegler, both general managers of different franchises, came up with the New England Patriots organization and would do each other a solid, and Caserio would be happy to take all of Ziegler's draft picks to get rid of his problems. One man's trash could be another man's treasure. Goodwin, Watson, Tunsil could be colossal additions for the Raiders if they've managed to find a way to swing for all three and knock it all out at once. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Actually, really just thought of that. That'd be pretty nuts. Oh, appreciate you, Gabe. Appreciate you. I wanted Mills as a fourth rounder last year to get rid of Peterman. Yeah, Davis Mills can throw the football. He could definitely throw the football, and if given time, like I said, when you give anybody time in the pros, they'll tear you to shreds. Everybody who's a pro is a pro, no matter how bad they look when they're in adverse situations. Um, except for maybe Tim Tebow, because his throwing was just awful. I don't understand how you could be so good at college and be so bad in the pros, but it happens. Um, there's a ton of ways to go about this offseason, and I've seen a lot of people do mock drafts, participated in a couple of them, and it's fun. It's definitely something to do to pass the time. But the offseason to me as a content producer, not a content producer really, but as a writer, is kind of one of those things that is my least favorite, not because I don't like it, but because of the repetitiveness, and for a show that prides itself on being the unfiltered truth, we're entering lying season. Every article, every story you hear on TV, if it's not something that directly happened in the public eye, is all pretty much bullshit, to be honest with you. Agents are doing their jobs, TV guys are doing their jobs, because they can't just stop content producing even when nothing's happening. They got to make something happen, otherwise you stop watching. The agents got to get their clients paid as much as humanly possible so that they can get paid as much as humanly possible. Fans are driving rumors, like you said, Jim, with all the talk about what we want. We got to have this, we got to have that. So you got to settle in and just realize that that's what it is. The season starts on March 16th. Legal tampering starts on the 14th. And today is the 22nd of February. You're still looking at least 3 weeks before something legitimately starts happening. So what I would say, what I was talking about on another show, was how I approach the off season, how I approach all of this, how I start to look in between the lines, because the way that you got to approach this is like this. The first thing that you guys need to really take a look at is the cuts. You can, from now on until March 8th, I believe the Raiders can use the franchise tag. I don't believe they're franchising anyone. If they had to franchise somebody, it will either be Max or Hunter. Nobody else deserves to be franchised. That's just my opinion, but it is what it is. So then you start to look at the cuts. So when you look at who gets cut, whether it's because they think they can't play, or they think that they can get somebody, or that he's making too much money, the cuts will start to paint the picture of what direction they're heading in. Then from the cuts, you move to free agency. Who gets signed, who doesn't get signed. And from that point, that'll tell you the draft strategy, when you can look at where the holes are from after free agency, from the guys they didn't sign, the guys they didn't pay, or the guys that they did pay, where exactly they feel like this roster needs to be improved, and where they're going to strive to go out there and do that in the draft. The scouting department is one that we've never seen. Well, we're not accustomed to working with, not accustomed to seeing anything from, not accustomed to seeing what they can produce. So that is a huge unknown for us in terms of trying to figure out who it is that they're looking at. Now, in the past with the Raiders, they would never ever went at the combine, which is what is also coming up. You would never ever hear them you'd hear about all the people that they were connected to, that they talked to, that they were seen with, and those would never be the guys that they drafted, especially the good ones. Now that make sense. You're looking at that because they were the smartest guys in the room, and you see what being the smartest guys in the room has gotten us. So we talked about cuts, the combine, free agency, heading into the draft. Then after the draft, you'll see who they sign as the UDFAs, and that should pretty much paint a picture of what it is that they're going to attempt to do in the coming season. Now, there will always still be more roster tweaks, more this, more that, and additions here and additions there, and there'll definitely be some June 1st cuts to add some roster space and get rid of some of that bloatation that's on the books. And before you know, we'll be back at training camp and ready for the season to start, and we'll all be excited and juiced up and ready to do it. But that's really how you can break the off season down and approach it in an intelligent, logical way, so that when you hear people talking that random bullshit about how we're going to go out and sign every top tier free agent with $5 million of cap space, you can just look at it and say, you know what? That dude's just trying to get paid. He's just trying to put out something out there that looks good, that makes everybody want to think, makes everybody want to click, so that he can get paid, because, hey, everybody's got to eat. Everybody's got to eat. Front office roster building resembles fan ideas about roster building very little, if at all. Fans think starters and stars. GM's front office thinks strategically for the future whole roster. At its finest. At its finest. And because this is the unfiltered truth, and I've never been one of those people to try to blow smoke up anybody's ass, I don't do that. So I don't like to do that. I don't like to. I as a content producer, it's kind of bad for me, because honestly, I need to do that so that I can continue to have content and I can get paid. You know, we just hit monetization. We just hit 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, once again, please like, subscribe, turn on all notifications. Never miss another video. Never miss another moment of the unfiltered truth, especially heading into the off season, because nobody else is going to tell you the truth. Now, through the season, though, some people will, some people won't, but in the off season, nobody's going to tell you the truth. It's all going to be what I want to see, what rumor is hot in the streets on any given moment. But I'm going to tell you the truth. Hey, sometimes when you ain't got a story, you got to make one, bruh. It's the nature of the beast. Appreciate that, fam. Been a long, hard road. We did it the old-fashioned way. Literally, at times, one subscriber at a time. But everybody who stuck with us, I appreciate it. We love all of you. I did the Hot Chip Challenge, player. It's on record. Go back to the 1K show and go to hour number 2. Player. I said I would do it, and I delivered, and I handled my shit like a man could. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I got for you guys this morning. I've just seen, like I said, we had a few things that went by, and I want y'all to know that I will never forget about y'all. We're gonna get this content creating going and get some more stuff going. Also, when the season starts, when college football season starts, we're gonna have the Unfiltered Men of Troy. That's right, baby. We covering the USC Trojans, the hottest team in all of America. Nobody is generating a buzz in the offseason like the USC Trojans. Everybody, not even non-Trojan fans, are juiced about the Trojans. And Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, Mario Williams, all the transfer portal guys, all of the commits, all of it. USC football is back, is coming back with a vengeance. So will they challenge for the college football playoffs this year? Probably not. They still got to build that defense. But for damn sure are winning the Pac-12 this year. Book it. Other than Adams, what other wide receivers are we pursuing will get tagged? So the thing you got to wait for. You don't know who's going to be. You don't know who's going to be there until other teams have tagged them. I mean, I know that's really hindsight, but I mean, what do you want me to tell you? They are. That's University of Southern Carolina. There's two. There's probably more than two, but that's the other one. And you work harder than burnt brisket, Rich. He must know a different Rich other than the one I know. That motherfucker don't work. But other than that, that's all I got for y'all this morning. Thank you guys for the love, for the support. Like I said before, please like, subscribe, click on the notifications, tell a friend, and the content and the shows will only get better and better.
I promise you.
And we out.